Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space and another Halloween video for my 2025 Halloween series. Since I've already posted at least one by the time this one goes up, I will start a playlist and that will be linked in the end screen at the end of the video. And I will just keep adding to it as I get Halloween cards up. For those that might be new, there's no schedule. I just fit these in amongst all the other videos I do. And they're just fun. So fun. So, Pretty Pink Posh's August release has gone live. It's so good. And it's all Halloween. Love it. Love it. I will have a link to the release in the description box below the video. This is also part of a blog or YouTube hop, like a video hop. The very first time Pretty Pink Posh has done that. So, I will have info on that down below as well. Always worth checking out because there is going to be just some fabulous inspiration from some pretty phenomenal makers. And then the last of my housekeeping, everything I used will be listed and linked in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I do get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. That is what helps pay the bills, keeps the lights on, keeps the bat light running, enables me to keep bringing out content. So without further ado, let's get into making this card. It's a shaker card with spiders, which I've made this very clear over the years. In real life, I have pretty severe arachnophobia. But when it comes to my Halloween cards, don't ask me why. Bring them on. Cutesy, creepy, love it. Love the spiders and the webs and all the things. Just not in real life. So anyway, this spider shaker is adorable. So I die cut a layer from just black cardstock. And the little face part, I die cut that, but I'm actually not going to use it. We're going to do something else. And then for the outline, that's going to be like the top of my shaker, I'm using some black glitter cardstock. And then I've got the wafer die. And then there's an additional little oval shape wafer die in this set. That way it'll create a shape, frame and an opening to have the shaker bits. So I lined up the die and then I lined up the frame and then I taped the frame in place with some just washi tape just so that it didn't move because this glitter cardstock, it's not super thick, but just wanted to make sure. So then ran that through my die cut machine and now I've got the outline and you can't really see it on the glitter paper. You can kind of see it on the cardstock, but it's got the like stitch line detail that Pretty Pink Posh does with a lot of their wafer dies. Love. So then I need to make the actual window. So I've got a piece of acetate and I was going to cut this whole piece, but then I was like, I'm not going to need the legs. I don't need to worry about that, which is good because I've talked about this before. Die cutting acetate is a bit of a bear to do. It just doesn't want to work. I added a bit of a shim, like just a piece of cardstock. So I've got the die, the acetate, and the cardstock. I'm going to run that through my die cut machine and it mostly cut through. All I need is that like oval shape, really. So I'm just going to trim off the little leg area, just the excess bits, but the rest die cut. So love that. So now we're going to make this into the cutest little spider shaker possible. So to adhere that window, the acetate window, I'm also going to, this is the black cardstock piece that I die cut first. And I cut the legs off. I know, seems kind of crazy, but this will all kind of make sense as it comes together because then I don't have to worry about lining up those legs with the topper, like the black glitter cardstock. I was like, oh, I ain't got time for that. So I've got the front, which is the black glitter piece that I flipped over. And around the perimeter, I am applying some thin RIFIC tape. Score tape would work as well. You could use liquid adhesive for this. It's a little less finicky. But I've talked about this. I avoid using liquid adhesive with acetate as much as possible because it oozes out, it makes a mess, and I just can't be bothered. So the couple minutes I had to fiddle with this to apply the RIFIC tape around, a circular-ish image, kind of worth it. So I got that applied and then pressed that window in, and I even took my bone folder and pressed it in really well. So it's good and secure. So now I've got this like glittery spider outline with a clear window. And then to make it a shaker, I got to apply foam tape again around the perimeter. And I have these black foam strips. These are from Waffle Flour. So perfect for this. And if you take the backer off, they're flexible. So putting that all the way around my opening there, making sure there's no gaps so nothing can fall out. And then I'm going to fill this with the Boo to You mix, the little microbead mix that's part of this release. I don't have a link for this spoon. This was from Tonic that I purchased a million years ago. Any little spoon will work. I just spooned them in there and then pressed that black cardstock piece that I cut the legs off of. And we've got a shaker. And it's so cute. So the eyes, the little eyes and mouth I die cut, but you just can't see them, you know? So instead, I dug into my stash of googly eyes, and I had these sort of oval shaped ones. Love it. These ones aren't self-adhesive like most googly eyes for whatever reason. So I just used that terrific tape, stuck that on there, folded it over on itself just to give it a little extra adhesive, and then popped those onto my little shaker. And again, I don't do shakers that often, but man, they're fun. And ones like this are just silly. I love it. So for my background, I have some like light purple cardstock, and I'm using the Crackle Background stencil. So I stuck this to a grip mat, put the stencil over it, and then I'm blending Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated ink in lilac using one of my Pink Fresh 1-inch blender brushes. So that's going to apply the ink, give me that pattern. I got a couple smears because I got my finger in the ink. Not a problem because I was going to trim this down anyway. I trimmed this down to about 4 by 5.25, just slightly smaller than an A2 card front. And then I'm going to add some die cut webs. So the white cardstock I die cut with a die from the Halloween Bucket Editions, because a lot of this release plays with products that Pretty Pink Posh released last year, and just everything mixes and matches. Love it. So I die cut white cardstock with that wafer die. And then the full web, that's an oldie but goodie favorite, the Spider Web wafer die from Pretty Pink Posh. So that I die cut from vellum. And I've talked about this. You can see adhesive through vellum. I just put little dots, very small dots of glue, because you don't need much with vellum. And no matter what, in the end, you're not going to see it because we're going to add a ton of splatter to this anyway. So I just adhered it. I put my magnets on top, anything heavy, just to hold the webs in place to let the glue dry. And I did that twice. And then this little witch's hat, this is from the Halloween Holder Editions wafer die set. And I die cut the hat from orange cardstock and then blended some grapefruit ink onto it. And then the band, I die cut from a scrap of black and the little buckle from that black glitter cardstock. And then adhered them together. And then I've got this cute little witch's hat that the spider's going to be wearing because, you know, he needs to accessorize. So always reverse tweezers for the win with small little die cuts. So I've got my little hat assembled. The glue has dried on the vellum there. So I can just flip this over, trim off the bits that are hanging over the edge. I'm going to save that little web piece for like a future project. I could have put it on the inside of the card, but I couldn't find it when I did the inside. Anyway, splatter. Put this into my splat box. I used my white gouache first. So I put some white gouache onto just my little plastic palette, watered it down a bit, and then used my fan brush to add a healthy dose of white splatter to this background. And then we're going to add black splatter, of course. So I'm going to put some black gouache on my palette, water that down a little bit, and then splatter this with the black gouache. And then, because I like being extra, and because it's Halloween cards, and also it's the color combo of the little embellishment mix that I used for the shaker, we're going to add orange splatter too. So for that, I used carved pumpkin distress paint. Just put like a drop or two onto my palette, and then with this one as well, watered it down just a smidge, just to thin it out a bit, and then splattered that onto the background. So we've got white, orange, and black splatter. And just got to let that dry and then go on to the next bit. So while that was drying, I had die cut the little eek sentiment. This was in the Halloween Holder Editions die set. And I die cut it from scraps of black cardstock. And then the top layer I die cut from that black glitter cardstock. And then stacked those together with the liquid glue to give that dimension. And once I've got that adhered, I also did some die cutting with there is, yeah, this little wavy piece from the Halloween holder editions. I was like, ooh, that'll work for like the string, you know, that the spider's kind of coming down from. So I die cut that from white cardstock and then adhered the hat to my spider with the liquid glue. And then I'd put those black foam strips on the back of the legs just to balance everything so it doesn't get like smushed or anything. And then popped him into place. And then this little sentiment that says, creeping by to say hi. That was from the new Spider Friends set. Just stop. It's so cute. I love it. So I stamped that on the same purple cardstock and then just trimmed it out with my paper trimmer. Adhered the eek sentiment. And then I've got little die cut spiders and bats. And those are from both the Halloween holder editions and the Halloween bucket editions. There's little spiders and bats in the wafer dies. So again, just die cut little scraps of black cardstock for the spiders. And the bats I die cut from scraps of the black glitter cardstock. And then adhered all of these to the background with liquid glue. And then for the little spiders, I pulled out my white gel pen and just added little tiny dots to give them eyes. You know, give them sort of a personality. Why not? So I added those and then also just added a couple little dots and highlights to the witch's hat just for funsies. So once I've got that, on the inside of my card base is a top folding A2 white note card. So 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I put it onto the grip mat. Put a piece of Post-it tape right where the score line is so I don't get ink past the score line. And then I used the Crackle background again with that same lilac ink. I just went with a lighter hand and just quickly blended that over the stencil. So it gives it that pattern. And then I'm going to stamp a sentiment from the Halloween Greetings set. And I'm going to stamp that with the just VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. So I'm going to stamp that, and then I'm going to stamp the eek sentiment from the same set. I'm going to stamp that with the lilac ink, just kind of in the lower corner there. And then I'm going to adhere more of those little die cut spiders around that and around the sentiment. And then I also had some die cut bats from the black glitter cardstock. So stuck those on the inside as well, because why not? There's still space to write something, but go big or go home, you know? It's Halloween. Why not? So added little white eyes with the gel pen to those little spiders on the inside as well. And then I'll adhere this card front to the card base, and that's going to finish off the card. This was so much fun to make and so silly, and it's a shaker card. I love shaker cards. Like, I could say it's just, and then with the goofy little googly eyes, seriously, stop it. Stop it. So cute. So, like I mentioned, I will have links to all the things in the description box below the video. You can just expand that. Everything will be there, so you can check it out if you're interested. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping and commenting, letting them robot overlords know you like what you see. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye.